Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Dieppe, host of Shoot to Earn, a show where I get to hang out with awesome photographers from all over the world. Today I have Amy Little on the show. Amy's a wedding and portrait photographer based out of Florida, and where are you based? The Emerald Coast?
The Emerald Coast, yes, it's up at the top on the Panhandle.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today. I have a lot of really cool things I want to ask you.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
yeah, actually, I found you on Instagram, which is pretty cool. I've noticed like Instagram is a cool place to meet other photographers.
Yeah, I think it's the best place to meet other photographers. It's my current obsession, and I love meeting people from all over the world. I now
Awesome.
have friends in like Rio de Janeiro and Italy and all kinds of places.
It's
It's fun.
cool. Well, before we get into like the ins and outs of using social media for your business and Instagram, those are the things I want to talk to you about today. Before we get into that, I want to give our audience a little background on how you got your start. So, share your story.
Okay, so like most people, I think I just woke up one day in college and said, I'm going to be a photographer. And all of my friends responded by saying, You're terrible. You can't do that. So I insisted on it, and I forced them to model for me so I could learn how to shoot. And after a year and auditing a class, I bought a camera, I packed up a car, and I literally drove around the United States for a year and kind of taught myself the rest. It was a lot
Wow.
of fun.
So you just sort of taught yourself photography.
Yeah, I met other photographers along the way, and I would, network with them and gain knowledge from them. Everyone was really open and friendly, and then after a year, I ended up back at the university, kind of where I started, and got in the darkroom and started developing everything. I found out I didn't suck. It was awesome. It was really
Very cool.
nice.
Very cool. And I'm sorry, when was this? Like, when did you get started?
Oh my goodness, this was back in 1998. Actually, this was 1997, and by 1998, I like started like shooting for real,
So,
and
so
people
you
were
started
like
with
paying
film
me.
then?
I started in film, yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
developed all my own stuff. I burned off my fingerprints, which was awesome. I would have made an excellent criminal, but I
You,
was so busy printing in the darkroom, I didn't pursue any criminal activities.
so from the chemicals, you literally burnt off your
Yeah,
fingerprints. Can
yeah.
we see?
No, they're back again.
Okay, I was like, just hold them up. I want to see. Wow,
That
that's
would be really
incredible.
cool.
Never heard that before.
Yeah, I had like bad sensitivity to light and everything because I just spent so much time in there.
Wow.
It was fun.
Okay, so you taught yourself photography. You traveled all over the place. You networked with other photographers that were already doing it, and you sort of gleaned information from them. And so, how did you book your first paid gig?
Friends. Some friends of mine were gracious enough to allow me to shoot their wedding. Hindsight being 2020, they should not have done that. I wasn't good enough then. Um, but practice makes perfect. And so one wedding led to another, and then that led to a modeling portfolio, and that led to a musician wanting photos for their album, and then family portraits and senior portraits. Just word got around wherever I lived at the time. I had a day job, but then I also did like the photography on the weekends. So I was a weekend warrior for probably 15 years.
Okay.
So,
And that's sort of how you just perfected your craft.
yeah.
Um, so you say you did everything from album covers to senior portraits to families. So anything that kind of came your way, you would take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, how was shooting music?
That
Is
was
that
fun.
yeah?
I have a lot of friends who are musicians who play music and record albums. And a few years ago, my friend Aaron Bearden was like, "Hey, I need some pictures for my new album that's coming out. Can I meet you at your house? Let me go take pictures." And so we met at the house here, this house, and we ended up like in my backyard, and like my garage is his album cover. It's the weirdest thing
So
ever.
cool.
It's really an honor.
Has have any of your music related shoots turned into weddings, or have you ever gotten anything like referrals from clients that were outside of the wedding portrait world refer you weddings or portrait? shoots?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
they've like crossed paths in that way.
Never.
But if they have, I've been unaware of it.
Okay. Um, okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. So
Okay.
you got your first gig, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. I'm sure you did a good job. You got
It was a
referrals.
slow roll, but yeah.
Okay, so a slow snowball.
Yeah.
Okay, more like a bowling ball.
Yes. Like my 4-year-old niece bowls.
Okay, cool. Um, so over the years, you got more and more business, and how has switching to digital helped? I mean, okay, let me rephrase this actually. Uh, Being that you started a long time ago in film, what are the differences now between how it was back then and how it is now, like in terms of getting business?
It's pretty incredible, actually, because this is a whole new world. The digital format is it's so easily accessible and it's so easy to share, whereas before that was a lot of physical work for me, which is kind of ironic because now I work 3 times harder. But in 2006, when I finally switched to digital, I felt like I was the last person on the planet to switch over. And I always swore that I would never do it because I thought it was cheating. I didn't think it was real photography. There was like no art behind it. And then I got a digital camera and I was like, what took me so long? Because I didn't have to wait till I was in the darkroom to figure out whether or not I did it correctly. Like if I should have gone down a stop, or if I should have just changed my angle and gotten new light in and just did something different, I could find out immediately. And that instant gratification and that feedback makes me such a better photographer. And then being able to share that like on the internet and like just through social media in general is just amazing.
That's
There's a
kind
ton
what
of
I
stuff
wanted
that
to
I would love to like scan from the olden days and like share, but I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Do you ever do that? Do you ever share anything that's not current?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got work from 2010 that every once in a while I'm sharing just
That's
to go, please don't do this.
So
Like
you
if
feel,
I'm not growing, I'm failing miserably as a photographer. I have to constantly be learning. And you said earlier, like, that's when you perfected your craft. I have by no means perfected this.
Okay.
And I am learning every day.
These are great quotes, by the way. They're perfect. No, that's great advice. So you just never stop learning. So even looking back to 2010, which that's not that long ago, you're still like, oh man, I'm leaps and bounds ahead of where I was in
Truly,
2010.
I am, and it's amazing. I think even this year, I'm surprising myself. I'll come back from a wedding, and I typically shoot with my friend Robert, and we are not like any other photographers that I know. We constantly challenge one another, and we're in competition to be better than the other person. And so we fight over who's going to get to be the second shooter because that's where all the freedom is and all the creativity is. And at the end of the day, like we'll come back and we're like, wow, I can't believe we did that. I'm so excited to like see this shot and to like pull something completely out of the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing. I love it. And I hate not shooting with him because then I'm like, man, what would Robert do? Because if he was there, then I'm like inspired to be better than him. So just shooting with him in the past, I would say 6 months has really changed my work. Even from last December. It's pretty amazing.
Cool. So competition breeds growth.
It's healthy. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. So in our pre-interview, one of the things that you mentioned was that it's kind of important to recognize your weaknesses. And you said that well, why don't you tell us what you said regarding when, like, if there's something that you're not good at in your business, what do you do?
I outsource it. There's things that I know that I'm not good at. Taxes are one of them. Running a business is really hard, and I wasn't aware of how much work it was when I decided to go full time. I thought I'm gonna have so much time to like study, to watch Creative Live, to go to workshops and like do all these fun things and travel. No, you work 24/7. I don't think I've had a full night's sleep in 3 years. So I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I have no problem outsourcing. I have a bookkeeper. I have a marketing specialist.
Okay.
I have an accountant, my CPA. I have tons of friends to advise me. And what else do I do? Sometimes I outsource my editing. Like right now I have like 8 weddings I'm in the process of editing, which is kind of a little insane, but they're like one on top of the other because this is Florida and it's spring and everyone's down here getting married, which is amazing. But that's a lot of editing to do.
Yeah.
And Robert and I tend to overshoot, which is something we're trying to correct because nobody wants to edit 4,000 wedding images.
And that's interesting that, you overshoot when you came from film.
Oh my God, I know. And I was such a cheap photographer back then. I had to really teach myself that digital is okay. You can press the button because you can delete it if you don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm trying to get back to that mindset of being a cheap photographer who had to pay for her film with pennies, So at the time, I was really careful about my composition. I would check my corners. I would study the image. And if I knew that I wasn't going to take that into the darkroom and print it, then it wasn't worth pressing the button. So I'm trying to bring myself back there. I know there's a happy medium. I just haven't found it yet.
Okay. I feel the same way. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so easy when you know that it's instant gratification. You take the picture, you look at the back of the screen, So it's like, to try to train yourself to shoot less it's kind of difficult.
It is difficult. And I know a lot of photographers these days obviously start in digital. So they have the luxury of being able to get that information immediately and they don't have to wait on it and then try to remember what they did. And the beauty is, I pull things into Lightroom and then I can see instantly like what my f-stop was, what my shutter speed was, what my ISO was. I'm like, light bulbs go off all the time. Whereas before I was, you're like making notes. I have like notebooks from 20 years ago with like all my numbers in them. Like, okay, that was this frame, that was this frame. I'm like, geez, oh Pete, that was the dark ages. It's crazy. But I like it now. Oh, but as far as outsourcing goes, outsourcing is a wonderful thing. I love designing albums, but if I get to the point where it's too much, I'll hire someone to do it. And there's a couple of companies that I love that do editing, like Post. Jerry's company down in Atlanta, they do an amazing job. He actually just called me like yesterday. It was like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Are you doing okay? I was like, yeah, I'm great. Thanks for checking on me. And then there's like Shoot.edit and there's Photographers Edit. So there's some great companies out there that once you get to the point where you can't do your editing, or if that's not your strong suit, send it off. That's what they're there for. You should be working on networking with your local vendors. Okay. You should be expanding your business. You should be blogging. There's so many other things that you should be doing with your time. Working with your clients.
So you mentioned that you have 8 weddings that you're editing right now. So you haven't outsourced the editing then yet?
I am about to.
Okay.
If I had the time to cull some of these, I'd be sending them off to Jerry right now.
Got it. Okay. So you kind of just do it on a case-by-case basis. So if it's that time of year when you're really, really busy, you'll outsource it. But if you have the time to do it. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm also a control freak.
As are most photographers.
Yeah, we all are. That's why we got into this business, is to take beautiful pictures, and then we get kind of bogged down in the business of running a business.
Right, and that's what this show's about, running a business. So hopefully people will be able to glean some information from this to help them operate their businesses more effectively. Because that's the hardest part about it. I mean, it's like, most photographers are good at what they do, shooting. But understanding the ins and outs of how to run a business is a whole different animal. But so let's talk about marketing. You use Instagram a lot.
I do.
Why?
Because I like it.
Because you love it? Does it help with your business at all?
Now, it's pure. Right now, you go onto Instagram, you see a picture that you like, you double tap it, and then you move on to the next one because you like it, and then that's it.
That's it.
Or you comment. And if somebody likes it, you liked it, they find you and they follow you and they're nice to you, and it's so supportive. It's the most amazing, like friendliest network of strangers I've ever been a part of. Whereas Facebook kind of, I think it started off that way, and I was a late bloomer into Facebook. I kind of refused on principle to join until my marketing person, like Holly Patuk with Clever Girl Marketing, she's like, you have to join Facebook because now you have a business. And so she made me do it. But even since then, it's really changed. And so the people who like your page and follow you and want to see what you post can't actually see it unless you pay money. The Facebook has changed, and so everything is based on an algorithm based upon popularity and likes and comments. And so if your feeds do not produce what they're looking for, then the people who deliberately follow you won't see it. And so I'm steering away from that, and I'm following Instagram, and people are really, really friendly there. I got like 5,000 people on Instagram who like me and 500 on Facebook.
I noticed that. Yeah, that's actually
crazy.
so that I found you through Instagram.
Yay.
I think you liked one of my photos, and so I followed you, and then I was like, 5,000 followers. I gotta have her on the show.
People are so nice.
So let's do like a pie chart.
Okay.
Let's break it down. Like, how much time do you spend on Instagram versus Facebook versus Twitter versus Pinterest?
Oh, Lord. Okay, so Instagram is probably 75%.
Wow. Okay.
Hi. Facebook is maybe 25%. And if you could squeeze a 0.011% into Twitter, that's where it would be.
Got it. Yeah, I know. I kind of feel the same way. It's just because we're visual, I think, right? I mean,
yeah, and I don't understand.
Twitter, it's just text. I mean, there are photos, but you have to click a link to go to the photo. It's just too much effort.
And it comes from the word Twitter pate, and I'm not digging that.
Yeah. That's funny.
I don't want to be a twit.
I don't see it, and then for me, like personally, like Facebook is great, but I don't like updating my status necessarily. But I love photos, so I'm kind of on the same page with you. I love Instagram. That's where I put all my time. Well, not all my time, but time that's put towards social media is typically done through Instagram, and then I post to Facebook via Instagram, which I know is kind of lazy. But do you do that too?
I do it.
Yeah.
Yep. And I found, ironically, that when I post through Instagram onto my business page on photography, I actually get more response. If I put something directly onto the photography Facebook page, it does not garner nearly as much response.
I found that too. I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
It's so strange. And I was so bummed too when I found out that on Facebook, like, you know, you could have, 1,000 friends on Facebook, but then I think the average reach is like 15% or something like that. So like if you do a post or a status update or something like that, you get like 15% of your, friends seeing that post. That's it, of your 1,000.
But you can certainly pay money to get more to see it.
Right. They're called sponsored posts, right? But the only downside to doing that, though, doesn't it say sponsored post on it?
I think so. I think there is a way to indicate that it is not a like an organic post. Right. It is something that you've paid for. But I
kind of hate that.
I want people to be genuinely interested. I don't want people to go, I'm forced to look at that because she paid to put it on my timeline or my newsfeed.
So Instagram's great.
Instagram is great. I love it. And Robert uses Vine. I don't use Vine because I'm not into video, but every once in a while I see Vine.
Vine is cool. You know, Vine's actually owned by Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
And Instagram's owned by Facebook.
Guess what, though? Instagram is unveiling. In fact, I just got something on my phone today. I loaded up Instagram and it said that they're unveiling something today. Ooh. And it's going to be the competitor to Vine. As far as what I've heard through the rumor mill, that it's going to be video clips on Instagram. I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I may have to learn how to use my video thing on my camera, on my phone.
I guess apparently you do like 7-second clips or something like that. And
it's 1 second longer.
Yeah, I'm sure they wanted to differentiate somehow. Yeah. They're like, we can't do 6 seconds. That's what Vine does. We'll have to do 7.
Let's do 7. They're just going to bring it to 11 at some point.
It's that much better.
Exactly.
Anyways.
Blogging is also a good thing to do. That's something that every photographer needs to be doing so they can build SEO, they can build content, and start generating interest and bringing interest to their website. Because the more you have out there, the more people are going to see you. And people want to get to know you. Like, I'm an avid writer, which was born from being an avid reader as a child. And so I absolutely love to write, and I really get close to my clients and get to know them so I can, because I want to draw my readers into their story, not just share their pretty pictures, but I want them to know what's behind the picture. So that's really important to me. And my clients love it. So they're like, I can't wait for you to write my story. So it's always fun. But being able to constantly put new content on your blog is just as important as social media.
And you said that's because of SEO. So
SEO and just getting your name out there and just having fresh stuff to see all the time.
Right, okay. Do you get a lot of business through organic Google search?
I think I do. That's what people say, but I advertise on the Knot. That's where my advertising dollars go.
Okay.
And so I think most of them probably come from the Knot, end up on my website, and then like, oh, I Googled you. But then I'll if I go to the Knot, because I'm a wedding vendor there, they have kind of a behind the scenes thing that tells you somebody's first name. So I'm like, well, was this you? And she's like, oh yeah, that was me. I'm like, okay, good. So I know my money's going to the good source.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then do you ever get any business from Instagram?
I get a lot of inquiries from Instagram.
Really?
A lot, which is amazing. I got my first wedding inquiry on Instagram was for the Philippines. I was so hoping to get that wedding, but they've actually postponed their wedding. So maybe next year she'll call me again. I don't know. That'll be exciting.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And Robert has a lead on a wedding in Ireland, and he's so not allowed to go without me. We second shoot for each other all the time.
Got it.
So I'm really hoping that he gets that wedding. And let's see, ton of inquiries. I think I've got 3 or 4 right now that people have emailed me. Like there's a gal I think in Biloxi, somewhere in Mississippi. She's like, "Hey, are you willing to come to Mississippi?" I'm like, "I'm willing to go anywhere." It's awesome.
Well, a couple more things I want to touch on with regard to Instagram. So you have over 5,000 followers on Instagram. That's pretty impressive.
It's kind of scary.
How did you get to that level? Like, give our audience, give our viewers some tips and tricks, or are there none?
Well, what I do is I'm searching for keywords.
Mm-hmm.
You can go in and search for things like engaged, love, romance, flowers. I'm like a flower junkie and a cake addict, so I'm always looking for sweets and pretty things. And then people's stuff comes up. You like their picture. I'm just going through and I'm just liking everyone's pictures, and because I like them. I mean, that's content that I'm interested in, and they're genuinely thrilled when you are interested in their stuff, and then they turn around and follow you.
Okay.
It's honestly the art of being nice, and there's no art to it. It's just
being nice.
Mm-hmm.
And liking pictures you genuinely like. So how much time, and be honest, how much time do you spend on Instagram per day?
Kind of too much.
Really?
My phone is always with me, and while images are loading into my computer, I'm gonna grab my phone and get onto Instagram.
So it's kind of hard to gauge, right? Because you're kind of just on and off it all day. What would you say, an hour?
Oh, way more than an hour. Yeah, usually about 11 o'clock at night, I'm lying down on the couch. I put on a Netflix TV show, which I'm only half watching because I am answering all these comments on Instagram and going through hundreds of pictures. So I love it. That's my favorite part of the day. Unless I'm drinking wine with friends.
Do you, you said you're answering comments. So when you have a lot of comments, do you answer to every single one of them?
Yes.
That's good.
Sometimes I don't see them. Yeah. Because I really want to engage people. I want to find out more about them. So if somebody asks, or if somebody says something nice about one of the pictures, I will thank them, and then I ask them a question. So Like, hey, where are you from? Are you looking for a fabulous wedding photographer?
Okay.
Or like if I'm following them, or if I've seen something that they posted, I'll make a comment about one of their things. Because like people have the funniest stuff on there. They have great pictures, and it's a wonderful place to meet other photographers and other wedding vendors. I've connected with so many other wedding vendors that it's really incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of shift to a different direction real quick, because we don't have that much time left, and there's more things I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, I'm a total talker. Sorry.
What's that?
I'm a talker. Sorry.
No, that's great. That's what I like. It makes for a good show. Okay, so I noticed on your website, I was doing some research. I noticed that you said finding a wedding photographer is kind of like speed dating. Talk about that.
When I was at PPA this past January, I wandered into the wrong class. I was supposed to be in another building, and I ended up in this wrong class. It was a class about videography. But the woman who was speaking, I wish to God I could remember her name because she was amazing. She was the most engaging speaker. They had the most wonderful videos. And I sat in there with probably 75 to 150 other people crying like a baby over these incredibly emotional, amazing wedding videos. And just other videos where the videographer really managed to engage the watcher and really draw you in a very short period of time. Beautifully artistic, well done. One of the things she said was, finding a wedding photographer is a lot like speed dating. And like, I pulled out my notepad and I wrote that down. I was like, oh my God, you're so right. Because when people get engaged, like one of the first things they do is they rush so quickly to go find like where the perfect venue is, who the perfect photographer is. And sometimes they're not really getting it because it's something that they want. They're getting it because they know they have to get these things done. Like, okay, great, I planned my wedding, I'm done. I'm gonna sit back and relax and enjoy my engagement for the next year. So they're rushing but for me, like I really want to like my couples, and I don't accept every wedding that comes my way because now I do this full time. So yeah, I do need the money, but at the same time, like I'm going to live and breathe with this couple for the next year. So I really want to like them. But more importantly, I really want them to like me. Because if I'm going to be with you on your wedding day and I'm going to be in your face with the camera on the most important day of your life, you should really like my personality. So you got to like sarcasm. You got to be able to accept the fact I'm going to eat your wedding cake, maybe steal a cupcake. I'm probably maybe two, I don't know. But like we're going to have fun. I really want it to be enjoyable. And I want to be the trusted advisor. I want to be someone that you can rely on and talk to and know that I'm going to have your back no matter what. Like if something goes crazy and horrible on your wedding day, I'm going to fix it. I can guarantee it. So I want there to be a trust. So when weddings come in and people are asking me, hey, are you available? How much do you cost? I'm going to respond back, I'm available. My packages start at this price. But you know what? Let's get to know each other, because if I'm going to be with you, this is going to be a big day, and you have got to like the people who are around you. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a really important thing, because if I'm going to tell your story, I got to know what your story is. So I really loved that quote. It really resonated with me.
So you take the time to get to know them first. You mentioned now that you don't work with every couple that comes your way. Mm-hmm. So how
used
often?
To be that way.
Because I know for a lot of listeners, especially people that are just starting out, they're like, "What? How can you turn down business?"
Yeah, and when I was starting out, I would say when I started taking this seriously, like back in 2010, 2011, I took everything, everything. And then I offered more discounts than Walmart. It was crazy. So I ended up doing weddings for like $600 that were like, $2,000 weddings, because I offered so many discounts. People were like, hey, I can take advantage of that. Like, well, no kidding. I set it up for them that way. And then I realized I was doing it wrong. I don't need to be shortchanging myself. I don't need to be making myself miserable. And more importantly, if I don't love my clients, how can I possibly be doing the best job for them?
So give me an example of how you actually, you don't have to, obviously no names, but give me an example of how you turn down clients, or not, they weren't clients. It turned down a couple that came to you, wanted to hire you for their wedding, and you said, it's just not going to work. You had to break up with them.
Yeah, it is kind of like breaking up with someone. Well, I'm honest with them. I tell them, it's like, look, what you're looking for is not the kind of service that I provide. However, I would be more than happy to help you find a photographer. I would love to give you some recommendations of people that I think that you should check out that would be a good fit for you.
That's a good way of putting it. So what is an example of something that somebody came to you and like, is it like the look that they're looking for is not like fitting with your style? Or is it just maybe it's the price, the budget that they have?
Price has a lot to do with it, but not so much anymore. That used to be more in the beginning. Because now I think I'm attracting the kind of clients that I want to be my clients.
Got it.
Because I've become more established, because I've got more content out there. My name's getting out there slowly but surely, with the other million photographers that are out there. But I kind of forgot the question.
Well, just kind of like an example. It's okay. It's all right. No, more of like just like an example of how you would.
Oh, how I would break up?
Yeah, how you would,
well,
break the news why. That, we're just not a good fit.
Okay. Well, a lot of times people are looking for just someone to shoot and burn their wedding. I just want you to be here for like an hour and a half on a Saturday and give me images.
I see. And you just don't do that, so. I
don't do that. Yeah. Like I'm going to be there longer than an hour and a half, because I'm not going to give up like a $4,000 wedding day for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's
not going to happen. And I really don't know a professional photographer that would. So people who want to budget their wedding by limiting their photography services are probably just looking for a friend with a camera, and not necessarily a photographer who specializes in providing full service photography. People who don't want art or don't want albums, they're not my clients, because I don't see why on earth you would hire a wedding photographer and then not have an album at the end of the day.
So have you turned down anybody if they came to you just to have you shoot the wedding and deliver digital files?
Yeah.
Really?
Because here's the thing, this is a digital world. You're going to get that anyway. You're going to get an online gallery. You're going to have a beautiful high-resolution download of all your fully edited images, but you're going to get a wedding album, because you may not. If you don't want that, then you're not my client.
So do all of your packages come with albums?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
I'm not like forcing people to get it. It's part of the price.
It's built in, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Because nobody needs to have like a second bill, and that's actually something I should bring up as well. A lot of photographers want to charge to shoot the images and edit the images, and then they want to charge for the client to have the images. And Trevor Daly from F-Stoppers the other day said he likens that to asking a chef to cook a meal, and then the chef charging you to cook it, and then the chef charging you to eat it.
Yeah.
You're a genius, Trevor. That's exactly right.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Because this is a different world. Now, back when I was shooting film, absolutely, I was going to charge them more money to have the negatives, because that was where my money came from. But nowadays, it's digital. Give it to them.
Yeah, the norm has changed. The standard is they get the images.
Yeah, and why wouldn't they get the images? This is a new world. It's a digital world. Everything is electronic. I'm not worried about people stealing my images. I'm not worried about. I probably should be, but I'm pretty open to sharing. They hired me to take beautiful images of them, so they're going to get them. They're not going to be watermarked. They can do whatever they want with them. But when somebody walks into their home, they're going to see a beautiful, like handcrafted leather album, and it's going to be so pretty, their family is going to try to steal it.
There you go.
I want it to be awesome.
Okay, two more things I want to talk to you about. Wait, I'm sorry. What's that?
No one's going to Shutterfly.
Okay, so two more things I want to talk to you about. All photographers, I don't care who I've talked to, they've all said that at least once in their careers they've had a time where they struggled.
Oh, absolutely.
For some reason or another. They went through a hard time. Describe a time like that in your business where either it was slow or personal life got in the way or something along those lines, and how did you overcome it? What's that?
Every day I struggle.
Okay.
That's a constant. You can't be in business, you can't be an artist and not struggle with that, because the first thing you do as an artist, I think, is compare yourself to someone else. So I'll be feeling really good about a wedding, and then I of course I follow a lot of other photographers. Like, I read their blogs, and so every morning, like, I'm sitting here with my cup of tea, and like I pull up the my Google reading list, and there's the most amazing photographers all over the world doing things that just make me cry. And I'm like, well, if I'm crying over their images and I'm not crying over my images, obviously I suck. And so then I like get into a depression and things don't work out, and then I think, oh, I'm terrible. Not that long ago, Robert and I were shooting a wedding. It was his wedding here in town, and like, I just wasn't feeling it that day. I felt like creativity had been sucked out of my body, and I was depressed. I don't know what was going on. Like, I just didn't have enough sugar, I guess. I don't know. At one point in the evening, like, my 70 to 200 was on my camera, and I had just come in from the beach. And I'm shooting people dancing, and it fell off onto the wood deck. And I'm seeing this in slow motion, and I'm probably screaming no at the time. But I stick my leg out, and it bounces off my leg, and then it hits the ground, and it rolls around, and like you could hear crickets after that. Like, the music stopped, and people were staring at me, and they're like, ooh! And I'm thinking, I just lost $2,000. Awesome. So I grab my lens, I stick it back on the camera, and then I realize, like, I'm bleeding because I cut my leg open. Like, it was like, okay, this was the icing on the cake for my day. So I go inside and I tell Robert, I was like, I don't even know why I'm a wedding photographer. I don't know why I'm doing this. Obviously, I'm terrible. And like, we get the images like the next day. I think I even waited like 24 hours before I even like pulled the images off the card. I was just like, I was done. And I started looking at them, like, those are some of the best images I've ever taken in my life. I'm like, wait a second.
Before you dropped the lens.
How did that even happen? Actually, it worked after that, too.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
Yeah, for some reason, it just didn't engage. I'm just really glad it didn't fall in the sand, because I was in the sand, like, for 30 minutes before it fell off. I don't even know how that was possible.
It's a nightmare.
Crazy. Yeah.
You saw it in slow-mo, and you were like, no.
That is exactly what happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I went home and sulked about it. But we all struggle, and then we realize that we're doing much better than we think we are. Like, even yesterday I was feeling kind of down, and this morning I submitted a wedding to Too Bright Lights, which is a great source for photographers to get published. I love Too Bright Lights. Mm-hmm. And with less than 15 seconds, I got an email that says, hey, you've been accepted for publication. And then 20 minutes later, another one. And then actually just before you clicked record, I got another one.
That's awesome.
So I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
So cool. So Too Bright Lights.
Too Bright Lights. Wonderful resource.
Okay.
Another wonderful resource is Creative Live. If your watchers don't already watch Creative Live, mm-hmm. I think that is one of the best classrooms any photographer could submerge themselves into. It's an online platform. They're based, I think, out of Seattle. They get in amazing photographers, and they teach all aspects of photography, including business and shooting and everything you can think of, even like health, like how to keep yourself healthy, which is something I should probably watch, because
that's cool.
I don't maintain a healthy living lifestyle.
You are so open.
Yeah, I am. I don't think there's anything to hide. If it wasn't for people helping me, I would never be here. Like, back in, I think, 2012, maybe 2011, I went to my first PPA mm-hmm. in New Orleans. First class, 8 o'clock in the morning, Zach and Jody Gray are on stage, and I am just mesmerized by everything they're saying. They completely revolutionized the way I was thinking. After class, I go up and I talk to Zach. I'm like, I can't believe how open you are and how much you shared with me. I said, you've just changed everything for me. And I'm thinking about going full time. Here's my situation. And he says, what are you waiting for? Because I want you to go home, turn in your 2 weeks notice, and then email me when you're done. I was like, okay. So I did. And like 6 months later, I see him in Atlanta at another conference. And he's like, hey, Amy, how's it going? And I'm like, heart attack. Okay, first of all, you remembered me out of the 10,000 photographers that you meet on a yearly basis. he remembered my name. He remembered my situation. He congratulated me for going full time. And like that made a really huge impact on me. I'm like, okay, he turned my whole career around because he was nice and he listened and he encouraged me. So if I could do that for somebody else, why wouldn't I?
That's the whole point of this show. That's how I felt too. Is like if it wasn't for the people that inspired me when I was first starting, I wouldn't be where I am today. So that's kind of what I want people to get out of the show. So let's end on that note. What words of encouragement can you give to our listeners? Like, I don't know, give them like one tip that you wish you knew when you first started.
Don't give up.
Okay.
Don't compare yourself to somebody else when you think that you're not good enough. You are. And if you think that you're going to get to the point where, okay, great, I've learned everything and now I'm done, you're wrong. You need to constantly be learning. You need to constantly be practicing. Your clients are not your homework. Your clients are who you give your best to, and you need to be practicing all the time, as much as you can, while not with them. Find a partner like Robert, go out and shoot, have fun.
Cool, that's great advice. Well, thanks so much, Amy. This has been awesome. Pleasure having you on the show.
It's been my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
If anybody wants to get in touch with you, just to say thanks for being on the show and thanks for sharing, how can they get a hold of you?
Straight from my website at amylittlephotography.com.
Great. I'll put a link below the video too. And let
or
me
on Instagram.
What's that?
Or on Instagram.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's probably the best way to get a hold of you, right?